Hey everyone, welcome to this is how to learn programming for beginners. So let's dive right in. So first let me brief you about what we're going to be covering in this session. So the topics include why learn coding, how to start coding, which language one can choose, and finally we'll look at the career path. So let's begin by understanding why we need to learn coding. So there are many reasons as to why people today are learning coding, right? It could be because they want to achieve a higher income, or simply because they're interested in software development and are curious to know what happens behind the scenes. Or sometimes people want to change their career path and might be bored of their current work, right? So there can be many reasons why people want to code. But one thing is very certain, everyone can code. So the first thing that you need to know is that it's not a very tedious task. You need a little bit of aptitude, but you can code. Alright, so moving on, let's see how to start coding. So there are certain steps that you should follow when you write a code. The first step would be to establish a goal. Now it is basically defining what your application will be doing after you have developed it. Next, you have to research about what languages and tools you have to deploy to develop the application. This step is very crucial and it also could be time consuming. Now comes the main part, learning the language. It is not all that daunting as it sounds, but you should definitely spend more time on learning the fundamentals of a particular language. And lastly, to check your knowledge, you can create a basic application and probably host it on GitHub. This will help you in becoming practically sound in whatever language you choose. Next up, next question that every programmer generally has is which language one should choose. Now the language you choose kind of depends upon the software development you are interested in. Some of the most sought after fields in software development are web development, mobile development, and machine learning. So when it comes to web development, as you may already know, web development involves developing applications for web platforms that run on the internet. For web development, the core languages used are HTML, which is basically the contents of a web page that are defined by HTML, or you have CSS, which is a styling sheet, which is used to style those web pages. And finally, you have JavaScript. Now, JavaScript helps web applications become more alive and interactive. Moving on, we have mobile development. Now, mobile application development, as the name suggests, involves development of applications for mobile platforms like iOS and Android. Now, the languages you could learn depends on the platform that you wish to develop the application on. For iOS, there's always Swift. And when it comes to Android, you have Java, which is one of the most popular choices. And if you wish to develop applications that run on both these platforms, there are frameworks like React Native and Flutter that are used for this purpose. Next up is machine learning. Machine learning is basically teaching a computer using some data, and then the computer helps predict some values for the new data using algorithms. Now, the things that one should know when starting with machine learning is Python. Now, when it comes to Python, it is a very popular programming language and most of the machine learning applications use Python. And you also need to be aware of mathematical concepts like calculus, probability, and statistics, and also linear algebra. Lastly, machine learning algorithms are a must for machine learning field. Some of the very popular algorithms are linear and logistic regression, decision trees, etc. Moving on, now let me show you a simple example of a Hello World program in different languages. First, we're going to be learning Java, then coding it with HTML, and then Python. Now, this is basically just to give you a glimpse of how these programming languages function. Alright, so moving on, Java is basically an object-oriented programming language and is one of the most popular languages. It works on the concepts of classes and objects and always has a method that executes first whenever a Java program runs. So the println command is used to print text on the screen. So this is what a simple Java code looks like for a Hello World program. So moving on, let's see how it works in case of HTML. So HTML is very popular and is used for developing web applications. I'm sure everybody is aware of that. It is like a structured web page and all the contents are inside the HTML file. Now basically the body tag here has the contents that are to be displayed on the screen inside the web page. And if you see here, the P tag is basically the paragraph tag. So this is a simple code to display Hello World using HTML. So moving on, we have Python. So Python is an object-oriented programming language. Being the most modern language when compared to others, the syntax is extremely streamlined and easy to understand. It is popularly used in data science fields. So as you can see, it does not have any unnecessary code. It is short and straight. So this was just to give you an overview of how these programming languages can be used. So moving on, lastly, let's look at the career path. There can be various career paths according to the field that you choose to pursue. Machine learning engineer, web application developer, software engineer, and mobile application developer. So these are the few job roles that you could look for when you learn programming. And there you go. This is how you can plan to go for this field and become a programmer.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.